Kethevane, we're seeing already rather impressive pictures of the astronauts getting suited and booted, a process that's apparently taking 45 minutes, Kethevane.
Yes, because when we are watching these images, we just see simply these astronauts putting on those space suits, those futuristic-looking space suits that were created and that look the SpaceX brand. But it is actually a very key moment in preparing for this launch to the International Space Station, because what you're seeing happening right now, you see some of the astronauts sitting in those chairs with their suits. So they put on their suits and then everything is checked. Two main things need to be checked. One is whether they're comfortable, whether they can do all the movements that they're supposed to do. And that's why you're seeing them sitting in those chairs. That will be the position they will be in once they're in the Dragon capsule and they launch off to the International Space Station. They'll pretty much be in that position for about 24 hours before they reach the International Space Station. So they need to be able to do exactly what they need to do and not have any movement. They check that there's nothing pulling or tugging from them. The other thing, and the most important part, is that these suits are checked for any possible leaks. Everything needs to be hermetically sealed, of course, because they are going to be in that Dragon capsule. So really, the suiting up process is very key, and every single inch of those suits is actually checked to make sure that nothing happens, that everything is the way it was planned to be in order for them to leave this suit-up room. Once they're ready, once everything is checked, they will be heading out of that building suited up, and they'll be getting into those Teslas, of course, Elon Musk's Teslas. They're going to be riding 2 by 2. We are expecting Thomas Pesquet, the Frenchman, to be riding with his Japanese counterpart, Aki Hoshide, with the two Americans, Megan MacArthur and Shane Kimbrough, riding into the other Tesla. We believe that Thomas Pesquet and Aki Hoshide will be in the last Tesla in that ride to launch pad 39A, that launch pad where the Falcon 9 rocket, as well as that Dragon capsule that is sitting on top of that rocket, will be waiting for them. They're going to get out of those cars, take one final look, observe that rocket from the outside, because then all they're going to see is the inside looking out into space.
Kethevane, we just saw Akihiko Hoshide smiling there at the cameras, even giving us a bit of a wave. He looks pretty relaxed, it must be said. You've been speaking to the astronauts and other astronauts not involved in this particular launch over the past few days. What, as far as you know, is going through their heads at this moment, just hours before liftoff?
Well, yeah, actually, yesterday I was speaking to another astronaut from the European Space Agency, Andreas Mogensen, and he has actually trained with Thomas Pesquet. They're really good friends, and I was asking him what happens, what goes through the mind of an astronaut before such a launch. And he was saying basically what you have right now is mostly happiness that they're about to launch into space. He says, this is what we live for as astronauts. All the hard work, the 2 years of preparation, of training, all of that is the hard part. But once we're gearing up, we're suited up, all we want to do is get into that spacecraft and fly off into space, because that's what we live for. That is the best thing in the world, going out into space. So he said happiness, but also a lot of focus, because they've been, of course, planning everything to the minute. They did a dress rehearsal, actually, over the weekend, going through all these motions, the suiting up, driving to the launch pad, getting into that capsule. So they know exactly what they're supposed to do. So they're really concentrating, but it's also a moment, the final moments on Earth. So they're taking in a little bit the atmosphere. They're going to be saying goodbye to their families one last time, quick goodbyes. and then they're going to be the four of them together for 24 hours. So he was telling me really about this happiness, this eagerness to get on with their actual launch. And I said, you never mentioned anything about fear. Is there any fear when you're about to sit on top of what is really a missile and being launched into space? And he says, yes, of course, fear is natural, but we're trained to not have fear take over, to not really give in to that fear. Of course, we know what are the risks. We know exactly, but we also trust the hundreds, the thousands of people who've worked to make this launch safe. And so we're really confident, we're really focused. And so the fear is somewhere deep inside, but it's really not something that they think about before they launch.